All right. Uh, Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on where you're catching us from. Welcome to the Norman Kato podcast. I'm pleased to welcome Oscar. Football is back. So, Premier League will be kicking off today, and
Mm.
Arsenal will be kicking off with Coventry at 10 p.m. So make sure you cash that one out. Well, before I go any further, let me let Oscar greet you guys.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, football is back. We have Arsenal today. Yeah, me not being enthusiastic, it is because I'm not really sure about this season. But anyway, yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Mm. Well, there's plenty to talk about. Many, let's talk about the big six. They have made so many transfers.
Mm.
Expressing at least Liverpool, who are a bit quiet in the market, surprisingly.
Mm.
But let's talk about Arsenal, who are kicking off the season today. We all know that they signed Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle,
Mm.
Chris Zolis from Club Brugge, and
Mm.
also their latest addition is Ezri Konsa from Aston Villa. He
Mm.
has completed his medical today, and I think he'll be making his debut
Mm.
against his club, and that is on 31st. It will be a Monday night. Well, where do you see Arsenal? Are they already suited to defend their title, or they still need more additions? We expect a few players to be sold before the transfer market closes. And one of
Mm.
the few names been mentioned, that is Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli. Those are the two guys that are expected to leave. I actually read yesterday that Patrick
Mm.
Vieira will be joining Offenheim on a permanent transfer. Of course, we know that he has no really any future at Arsenal. So that shouldn't be really a surprise. But, well, where do you expect Arsenal to finish this season?
The most obvious answer is for them to retain the title, but it is easier said than done.
Mm.
The reason why I would fancy them slightly to retain the title is because just to give my analysis on the whole thing. Maybe I might answer the question beyond, but you correct me. You'll stop me from going beyond. So I look at where Arsenal is right now, and I look at the opponents because you can only play what is in front of you. All the
Mm.
opponents that you would say people who would be able to stop Arsenal are in a sort of a transition. And
Mm.
with transitions, you're never sure if the transition is going to be a transition which will materialize into the trophy, or it will what? It will just be a transition, like a just the team playing well. So with
Mm.
that said, the reason why I would give Arsenal a slight edge, because there are transitions whereby someone is receiving a team that is already good. You get. We can give
Yeah.
the most recent example is Slot, who got a Ferrari from what? From Klopp. He had a team that was already built, even didn't add anything to the team, and the team ended up, winning the EPL. So there are those kinds of transitions. But when you look at all these other teams are coming from problems. They're coming from a season of trouble. You get? They're coming from a season of trouble, and then they are plunging themselves into very many uncertainties. Right from Liverpool, you go to City, you go to Chelsea, you look at Tottenham, you look at United. It is all an area of what transition. So with that said, I would give Arsenal a slight edge to do what to retain the trophy.
Mm.
The only reason I wouldn't say they will retain the trophy is the same reason why I thought that I believe would not allow them to win the trophy last season. But of course, with just something extra that I can add because of the transfer so far. The only reason I see they wouldn't win is if Arteta hasn't learned from his mistakes. If he still remains the same Arteta, and then he keeps making the same mistakes, because even this season, Arteta made still the same mistakes that he was making previously, but the only difference is that he had people to call on from the bench. You get? He had people to call on from the bench. He had safeguards. His strongest points are the defense and the midfield. Those are his strongest areas. So when you look at where he has made like keynote signings, he has made keynote signings where in his strongest areas, the defense and the what and the midfield. That's where the keynote signings have been. So the question that I would put to anyone is that, are you sure that forward line is going to kick off, is going to gel? Because teams are now coming. You see, when you're a champion, teams approach you very differently. When you're the one who is, teams approach you very differently. You saw it with Liverpool. Liverpool walked through the trophy the previous season. When they came this season, teams like fashioned weapons against them, if I can say. Teams decided to say that, you know what, these guys, their weakness is here. So, they find what the weakness is. Then they say, you come at us, we shall do what? We know that you don't have legs, people to what? To run back. And, teams were tearing Liverpool apart. Liverpool really looked pathetic. So that's the same thing. Arsenal's strength is with their defense. Now, the way they played Man City, the one thing they should not expect is that that's how teams are going to play them. Forget about that. Teams are going to ask them to come at them. So if teams are asking you to come at them, the question is, are you sure you're going to keep up with them the whole season? You get? Taking you on counters, and then maybe once in a while, maybe out playing you, things like that. Are you sure you can, pass it? So that's why it's a bit hard to retain a trophy, especially when you're a champion, a current champion. So for me, those are the only reasons. The signings have been signings in the areas of strength. Christian Solis, for me, he's just a swap. Because the only reason why Trossard is not actually staying in Arsenal is because of his age. But if he was the same age as Solis, there's no way he was going to be sold. Let's just be honest on that. Let's just be honest. It's not like as if Solis is a big upgrade or something. No. He's sort of the same player, or maybe slightly better or slightly not as good as Trossard, but he's just around there. But because of his age, they had to bring in someone, because that longevity is also needed. Need someone who will be there for some time. So I don't know how old he is, but I know he's young. He's younger than Trossard. So that is expected. So for me, that's not a keynote striking. That's not a keynote signing. That's not a keynote signing for me. Unless someone is going to tell me that he's going to assist 20 Premier League, give 20 Premier League assists to Gyökeres, or maybe change the thing that we have always been saying about Arsenal. Because the one thing that I believe that Arsenal has been failing to do is to feed Gyökeres. That is in my view. Gyökeres, yes, has been missing chances, but feed him, play him like a typical 9. Nines who the Haaland type, the one that if you don't give him the ball, if you don't give him the assists, he's useless on the pitch for you. But put the assists there for him, and the goals will flow. So for me, the fact that Arsenal doesn't do that, as a rival, it works for me, because I know that they will never get anything out of Gyökeres, really good out of Gyökeres, So, yeah, unless you're telling me Solis is going to change something in that area, then maybe you would say that he's a keynote signing, and Arsenal will confidently just run through the Premier League. But if it is from my vantage point right now, seeing that there's nothing much that has changed, it is just strengthening the areas that were strong, and the area which was weak is still remaining the same. I see nothing changing. The only thing is, these other teams, are they going to actually, falter a lot? Are they going to make so many mistakes and, be terrible? Or are they going to give Arsenal a run for their money? Because if that happens, it's going to be a totally different ball game, Not this thing where Arsenal runs 12 points, and then they make mistakes, and then they again get another like 20 point, 15 points, gap. Those things, no. If it is something which is close, it will be
Yeah.
tricky for us to retain that trophy. Yeah.
Well, I beg to differ. I've had so many people really predicting Arsenal to defend the title. Well, and other Arsenal fans, I still believe that the league title is always very difficult to defend. We found out last season. We expected Liverpool to just walk away with the title after signing all those players, but it turned out to be completely different. They had a disaster season. I mean, they had signed Isak, Ekitike, and who else? Who else did they sign?
Um, but
Yeah, Florian Wirtz. And with all those superstars, we expected Liverpool at least uh, to defend their title. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. So when you look at the previous winners, I mean, there are not so many, but when you look at those Manchester City teams and the club team, those guys had quality in their team, and at least you could have a basis of saying, this season they might retain. I don't look at Arsenal that way. Of course, they have a very good squad, but they don't have so many difference makers, and the quality is not up there, to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. When you talk about Manchester City, you used to talk about De Bruyne. They had Aguero in that team. They had David Silva, Bernardo. I mean, they had so many quality all over the pitch. When you look at Arsenal, you of course mention their keeper and the defense. And maybe Bruno Gomes is a game changer, yes, but no, I'm not buying the fact that Arsenal will walk away with the league. I'm not buying into that.
remind me
Well,
again. Remind me
they
again.
have a
Who?
good
Who?
defense.
who
I mean, they look the most stable team amongst the big six, but I don't think it will be a walkover. You expect uh, teams like United and Chelsea to also put up a fight. I mean, they have signed very well. When you look at Tottenham, by the way, who have actually almost changed their first 11, they they are also there. You remember they are playing only one cup this season, and that is the league. They are not in Europe, so you expect them to also perform better. Well, for I think Arsenal has a good squad, yes, but I don't think they have the quality to just blitz the league and just walk away with the title, as everyone is saying. So many people are predicting us to defend the title, but I don't think. I
when
personally,
when I say
to me,
when I say defend the title, I don't necessarily mean just walking it. Walking it is a stretch because I've also thought about it. When you talk about it, it's not necessarily walking. I expect them to defend it because they are the most stable team. But you see, that is the same thing that I think we had this conversation at some point during last season, where we talked about the Arsenal didn't improve. Arsenal just maintained their what who they were, and the other teams could not maintain who they were or become better than what they were before. Because if Liverpool had maintained its same levels, Liverpool was definitely beating Arsenal to that title last
yeah,
season. You get Arsenal just maintained their level. So I don't think them maintaining their level is something that they will cut it this season. If it is something that cuts it, it means that the rest of the teams in the big six are all going to be terrible. They are all going to be terrible. Meaning that there is no team that is going to hit the 90 mark. Because when we're talking about Arsenal maintaining their level, we're talking about teams that are what? We're talking about a team that is maintaining the amount of points that they are always getting around 85, 83, 81, 80, 88 there. That is where they are maintaining. You get it? That's what we are
yeah,
basically talking about. But as long as none of these other teams like up their game, Definitely, Arsenal will definitely retain the trophy.
But
So it is.
you've actually seen pundits and majority of Arsenal fans constantly saying they'll
Ah,
just
come on.
title.
Those are bandits, and you see that's the thing. That's the thing. The beauty about at least you watching football for yourself and having a view yourself. Some of these bandits are people who, I mean, you have to sell. You have to sell the what? Whatever is selling is what you praise. You get. And
It,
saying Arsenal will run away with it, it's the easiest thing to say. But get down to the details, get down to the nitty gritties of things. Arsenal,
mm,
their keynote transfers have been in areas where they are already good. You
yeah.
get. And the one thing people are forgetting, people are keeping quiet on Zubimendi. Zubimendi only became bad when the season was what? Was after halfway the season and the season was almost ending because that guy was tired. He was exhausted. That guy was
True.
worn out. He was worn out. So that's one thing that people are forgetting. Yes, he wasn't used to the Premier League. It was his first time, and he was experiencing it for the hardships and for the first time. But the Zubimendi we saw before, that was like a big game changer. So you bring in Bruno Guimaraes. When you bring in Bruno Guimaraes, it's like you're bringing in another what? Another Declan Rice. So you have two Declan Rices in the what? In the midfield. So what have you upgraded necessarily? What necessarily have you upgraded? That is, for me, that's the question I would ask anyone. The thing is that, of course, having those options, if one of your options is to be Zubimendi on the bench, or one of your options, if Rice is tired, is Guimaraes, or one of your options, if Guimaraes is tired, is Rice, that is something very good to have. But my point, the point is that you're improving the area where you're already strong. You get that you're already
Mm,
proving and everybody. Then when we look at Ezri Konza, for me, when I look at Ezri Konza, the fact that you've bought him, it means that now you have about 7 center backs who can play across the defense. You get, but even the
okay.
ones you had before, because Norman, you bear me
Mm,
witness on this. There are moments when Gabriel was out for some time. There are moments when Saliba was also out. Arsenal didn't lose as many points. Arsenal was still hanging in there because of the extra signings that they had available. You get. So the only person I see that is actually going to hurt the Arsenal defense is not having Timber. That's the only one. But
mm.
in the middle,
Well,
I am very
maybe
sure.
they looked at Ben White's fitness and also Timber's injury record
Hmm.
and Saliba's
Yes.
absence, and they saw the urgency of having another extra body there.
Exactly. So for me, I'm looking at it in this way. For now, they are going to have Ben White play, and when he's not performing well, they bring in Mosquera. You get, and if maybe Mosquera is performing well, Mosquera can what? They can swap. Even Hincapié, he can swap. Once in a while they can play in the middle, and then what? Also help out on the wings, on the full back sides. You get. So for me,
But
the
to
thing
be
is that
honest, Oscar, I don't feel Mosquera is ready. He's a good young player, yes, but he's more of a liability. I mean, we saw that against PSG.
you
Where
can say that. No, 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 no. But you look at it in this way. The one thing you're forgetting is that he was playing against the best guy in that position in the world. There is no defender that you will tell me that was going to live with that guy for 90 minutes. You get, you would
mm,
defend him probably for some time, but at some point you would elapse in defense and boom, you're done. You get, Cavaskelia
yeah,
is a different. That's a totally different. It's not like as if he's going to be facing Cavaskelia for 37 games. No, he's not going to be facing him for all those games. You get. So the thing is,
true.
for me, he's a good option to have. But
Mm,
sometimes when you're facing a very good opponent, we have also seen even Gabriel. Gabriel, you would say that the guy had maybe lapse in judgment, Saliba as well. But it's because the opponent they are facing maybe like, for example, Haaland. You get. I mean, you'll excuse them for that one game. You'll excuse them for that one game. But for the rest of the games, if they are giving you top-notch performances, I mean, it is allowed. It is allowed. If there is no defender who is a top defender who we can say has not had a hard time with at least one opponent. For me, my favorite Premier League defender, Vidic. we all knew his number one kryptonite was Fernando Torres. Every time he faces the guy, it's like as if he's shaking in his boots. I don't know why. You get, but anyone else, the guy would try. He would perform well, and until of course he goes to Champions League and faces Messi, then things become bad. Yeah. So, but besides that, I think he's a good option. You know, Mosquera is a good option to have around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to another team, Manchester United. They are pretty optimistic about the new season. They feel that this is the year they challenge again. They have signed Yuri Tillemans from Aston Villa. They signed Andres Santos from Chelsea, and also still looking at Carlos Baleba. As yesterday, we saw those reports from numerous sources. I don't know how concrete they are.
You need to, yes.
Where do you think United can finish this season? I mean, they are back in Europe, of course.
That is a tricky one. You know, being back in Europe, that's a tricky one, because that means that the number of games has increased, you know, but their signings were good. They were intentional signings, good signings. Yeah. But about where they can finish in Europe, I mean, on the league, I don't know. I would probably say at best top 4.
Top 4.
I would say top 4 at best, but because I'm looking at the fact that they are coming back to Europe, and you know, the thing is that Bruno Fernandes has always performed when they have that thing of, you know, not having like Europe and all that. But
when
how is
no pressure?
There's no pressure. So I don't know how he's going to cope up, how they're going to cope up, because you see, their football is that counter-attacking style. So that is a style that also needs depth. You know, people now have to have real serious cardio. People have to have real gas, you know, to sustain it throughout the season, you know. So I don't know how they will do it, but I would say top 4, or maybe position 5 or 6. That's where I would give them.
Well, surprisingly for me, I feel at some point they might even challenge, because I don't think they can win the title, but I feel they can challenge. They have a good forward line. Players that are capable of scoring goals and providing assists.
Yes.
Of course, their back line is still fragile, but the midfield signed good midfielders. So, well, if you have Fernandes still creating, and you have a forward line of Mbeumo, Cunha, Ahmad, and Marcus Rashford, that's if he doesn't leave. I feel those guys can score goals. And you know, in the Premier League, if you have a good forward line, you will always fancy yourself in a better position. So, well, for me, I feel they are going to have a better season from what they had last season. But if they don't sort out their defense, of course, they always come short. We'll find out in Champions League when they come up against better opponents.
My thing is, for them to perform well in the Premier League, I think they need to set their targets straight. Maintaining top 4 should be a target. Maintaining top 4, and if they get 1 or 2 trophies, 1 trophy, or depending, it is also, I believe it's a win. But then, are they going to go far in these trophies, like especially Champions League, things like FA? If you're in Champions League and FA after January, you know, that means that games are accumulating. You're not playing once every 2 weeks, or once every week, or once every 3 weeks. You get, like they were probably used to. Then again, we can talk of different things like injuries. You get, we can talk. I mean, every team experiences injuries, but for me, my thing is, if it was a few games, like it's a turn, like you see how last season they started performing well when it was like past half of the season, so they could stretch it until the end. But if we are talking about the whole season, are they able to sustain that pace, that that force, that energy for the entire season? That's the question for me. That's the big question for me. If they can do that, I believe that, excuse me, I believe that they'll be able to go far. For Manu, I believe Manu will be able to go far in that regard. But for me, my only reservation is when we are talking about them being in all four trophies, competing at all fronts. If after January they are still at least in three or two or two major trophies, and major I mean FA, Champions League, then of course Premier League, that will be something very tricky. To really be, it stretches the squad. It really stretches the squad. You really need to have a good squad for such things. So yeah, for me, that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Yeah. So I'm expecting Man U to only go far if they in the Premier League, only if they actually drop out of these trophies early. But if they maintain being in those trophies for long, it might be a bit tricky. I actually expect them to have a good start. That is one thing. Let's have that clear. I expect them to have a good start.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah. I can see a poll. Do you think Arsenal will defend the title? um,
Apologies.
yeah.
Apologies, everyone. I mean, someone who is watching should tell my sister that I'm shooting right now. She's calling my phone, distracting my life. Jesus. Mom, if you're watching, please tell my sister I'm shooting. Let her stop calling me.
Mm,
Apologies. Well, back to United. You mentioned a very good point about prioritizing actually which competition you should go for, and that
mm,
is very very good. I mean, if they decide to go on all fronts, they'll end up falling short at everything because I don't think they have a big squad to go for all the trophies. So
yeah.
Michael Carrick should really look for competition to prioritize because I don't think they're actually ready to go for Champions League since it's going to be their first time competing in the league phase.
Mm,
So, well, for United, I expect them to have a better season, because they have signed well, honestly.
mm. But then again, there's also what we call
Thomas
luck.
Bareba also joins, then that is the midfield sorted.
There's also what
It's
we call
a
luck.
how Kalik plays them.
There's also luck. There's also luck. Just look at, for example, you saw the brackets after the group stages of Champions League. You imagine Manu lands on a bracket like the one that Arsenal landed on.
Mm.
Now, now that means that you're not going to start telling them stories of having a small squad. It means that you expect them to go far. You get?
But
You expect them
still,
to go far. You
do
you
you
you land on such a
Arsenal,
bracket.
Arsenal, Arsenal played Atletico. They played Leverkusen. Who
They
else
didn't play
again?
anything in substance until they played Atletico.
Yeah. Well, football is football, so you
Yeah.
never know. They can make it
Yes.
far. Honestly, they
Yeah.
can.
So there's also luck. Luck is also involved in this, in football. You can always be lucky, and you get the right opponents, and why not?
Mm.
Yes. So yeah. All that
And
is
moving on
possible.
to another Big Six club,
Yes.
and that is Chelsea and Xabi Alonso. They
Yes.
have also been active in some business. They signed
Yes.
Morgan Rogers.
Mm.
Um, they also have, there is some slight optimism about their club this season. They feel that
Mm.
they can do some good things this season. I don't know what you think,
Are they in
but
Europe?
yeah, no, I think do they? Did they? I'm not actually sure. Someone should remind us in the comment section. Is Chelsea in Europe? Did they qualify? I don't remember honestly because what I know is Arsenal, United, Aston Villa, Liverpool, City. Those are the five teams that qualified
Mm.
directly to Champions League. So I don't know if Chelsea. I don't. I think. I actually think they didn't qualify because if you Brighton and Crystal Palace, they occupy that Europa and Conference League positions. Because remember, Crystal Palace won the Conference League, and Brighton also. But, well, someone should really give us some clarification. Did Chelsea qualify for Europe? Do we have any Chelsea fans in the comment section watching? Please let us know. But anyway, Chelsea have done also some business this
Mm.
transfer window. Remember, they get rid of Garnacho. He went to Aston Villa. I saw Badiashile also left.
Mm.
Um, who else? They signed some left back from Real Vallecano from Spain. They let go of Marco Correa. He went to Real Madrid.
Yes.
So they have been busy. They have been very
Yeah.
busy. Well,
Mm.
do you expect them to challenge this season?
I just moved to pick up my laptop to find to check if they are in Europe. You see, with that squad that they have not released very many players, and I don't know. I'm hope if they're not hoping to release many more players, I believe they have a squad. You see, I believe they have a squad to challenge. I honestly believe they have a squad to challenge, and you see that goes back to what we were talking about initially when we hinted on Arsenal. You see, these teams are actually stacked with good players. You get
Mm,
They're actually stacked with good players. So it just needs to like the cohesion.
yeah.
It just needs good cohesion, and then you'll see the team performing. Because we saw the same thing with Conte. When Conte came, the team was not performing well, and so Chelsea is not playing in any European trophy.
Yeah, I've
My
just
brother,
seen right now.
that is something that people need to be worried about. That is something that people
Mm,
need to be worried about. The only thing that doesn't worry me about Chelsea is the fact that they don't have a key striker who you can be sure of banging 20 goals unless Pedro shocks us. And they don't have, and I don't trust their keeper. But besides that, I believe that that defense can be marshaled and they can actually be able to perform well. That midfield, they needed leadership, and I believe that's something that people like Henderson are going to bring into that midfield. You just need people to lead. You don't need necessarily the best, because the thing is that Chelsea has always, over the years, ever since this Todd Boehly took over, Chelsea has had very many good young players. But the problem is these people are like headless chicken, very talented, but bringing that talent together. That is why, if I believe, if they still had Thiago Silva in that Chelsea team, he would have brought a
mm,
lot of cohesion in that defense.
mm.
You get? He will bring very good cohesion in that defense. So, with that said, the fact that they're not in Europe now, for me, I actually believe that they can actually challenge. That is my view. I believe they can actually challenge,
Okay.
especially especially if they start well. Especially if they start well. If he gets his first 11, in the first few games, five games. He already knows his first 11, and they know themselves, and he's bringing in, he's giving them the rest they need and all that. Man, it's going to be a tight competition. That one I can assure you. Yeah.
Okay. Time is chasing us really, because I have to
Mm.
let you uh, by by 6. You told me you had a meeting, not so?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we have to really work chap. Well, moving on to another Big Six club, and that is Manchester City. We all know they lost Pep Guardiola. Of
Mm.
course, they lost a few of their stars: Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Nathan Ake, John Stones. Who else? Who else has left? Who else has left? And they have also lost Savinho, and most
Rangers.
likely Omamamo should be looking to join him at Tottenham.
I
So,
don't know what they're thinking about. Unless, are they bringing in any players? Because why would you sell Mamush? Are they bringing in
well,
any players?
maybe he's asking for game time, and Tottenham can offer him that.
Is he still under contract?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they just signed him. Is it last year?
I think 1 or 2 seasons ago. But the thing is that the fact that he's still under contract, they can still keep him the same way that Julian Alvarez is being kept at Atletico. You need someone there to help Haaland. I mean, who do they have to replace Haaland?
Maresca said they are looking to sign more players. So if they are willing to let go of Savinho and Mamouche and Rodri in the same window, it means that we expect more players to join them.
And that midfield, if he's hoping to play with Kovacic as his starter, there's going to be trouble. There's
He's
going to be
in
serious
trouble
trouble.
already, man. I mean, they looked so bad against Arsenal.
Yeah, they looked so bad. And the way Arsenal played them is the same way every team is going to approach them. That's the unfortunate bit. Unlike Arsenal, that that teams are going to approach them differently and they have time to work on different things. For us, we already saw the blueprint. That is how you play Man City. Sit back, catch them on the counter, sort of a counter. You pass the ball, but you pass it fast as they are trying to organize themselves at the back. And that's how you beat them. That is that has been the blueprint to beat teams that possess the ball for a very long time. So, and unfortunately, they really performed very badly in such a system. So I don't know. It will really be bad. It will really be a hard ask for them.
Don't you think that players like Phil Foden, Jeremy Doku, um, who else there? They need to have a very big season for Manchester City to actually do something.
They
Because
do, because the thing is that I know those are going to be starters.
what happened to Foden? I mean, a few years ago, he was this English golden boy. He was all
Yeah,
we
only
were
Foden
hearing
can
like
explain.
world class, blah blah.
Only Foden can explain. For me, in my view, I feel if Foden has a bad season this season, he should plan on moving to another team, to have a fresh start. Because that fresh start can always help. It can always help a player, new challenges and all that. Probably you've grown so used to this place and you've won the trophies and the hunger is probably not there. You need something new. You need a news. That is if he has a bad season this season. But I mean, he really needs to have a good because you see, if you can take pressure off Haaland, you're going to have a very wonderful season. Meaning that if you can get people like Chucky up and running, you get what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. And you see, for me, if I was in the position of Man City, the fact that I have someone like Chucky, the number one thing I would be thinking about is getting an 8 and a 6 that can close down. Now, yes, I have Anderson, That is already a good signing. But get another wall, another brick wall. You get, who can also cite some come and move forward. In other words, you allow Chucky to do what? Not to have a lot of defensive responsibilities. Play him in the middle there, where he can move and free roll.
Do you feel this young kid from Lille will fill that gap? Buwadi.
He's new in Premier League, and I've only seen him. I really don't like judging players from tournaments. He's a good player, but I mean, I will have to see to believe it. I'll have to see to believe it. I don't like judging players from tournaments, because tournaments is one place that I really don't think coaches should be buying, clubs should be buying players from, especially players that you're spending a lot of money on. So yeah, we shall come and see it. We shall wait and see.
Well, for Manchester City fans, brace yourselves. It's going to be a roller coaster of a season for you.
You're already telling them to brace themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad when Pep left, but now you lost your best player in Rodri, so
yes,
it's going to be a very hard season. Very, very.
yeah, I
So for
know.
Maresca, it's going to be under huge pressure. Well, let's move on to the Liverpool.
Yes.
Well, Liverpool have been quite very, very silent in this window.
Yeah. Well, after spending all the money they spent last season, why not?
The Bacola deal is still stagnant. There's nothing conclusive that has been reached. Have you seen, has Mbaye been confirmed?
I beg your pardon?
Has Mbaye been confirmed?
It is still also a bit of a rumor, but I'm really hoping that Mbaye comes through more than I'm hoping Bacola comes through, just because of the money element.
I mean, how much do you expect you will spend on both players?
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I would rather Mbaye comes through, then Ariola does his magic, builds the guy, develops the guy, than having all that money. And you see, all that hope is hinged on the fact that I'm hoping that the remainder of the money will be used to buy a starting DM. Because man, I can't believe that Liverpool is thinking of spending all that money on Bacola and they don't have a DM. Bacola is not as important as getting a DM is.
But we haven't seen any links on any midfielder from Liverpool. Actually, yesterday we had a rumor that came out. It wasn't even a rumor. David Ornstein reported that you were looking at signing Mid, who is actually still injured.
That's crazy.
Huh? What is really happening?
You know, sometimes I feel like these people overthink. Because if Brighton can sell or Bournemouth can sell their entire back line and replace it in one season, how hard can it be for Liverpool to start getting 1 or 2, 3 players or even bench players? Because it just boggles my mind. It just piques my understanding. Because I think there are some scouts who are independent. They don't necessarily attach to a particular club. That's what I'm thinking. And those scouts are some of the scouts that some of these clubs use. These Brightons of the world use. How are they poaching, players like Baleba and bringing them in for 19 million? How it just beats my understanding. So for me, I feel like this season being a season which is not of high expectations, it's a season of let's see how is the team going to improve, is the team going to play better. You get, for Liverpool. Use this opportunity, bring in those players that they are not necessarily big names, but they are players of great potential. Buy those players, 45 million, 20 million, bring in those players. And then I believe they will actually be really very good, very big players. But being there and then you're looking at a player of 100 million and all that, I'm like, come on. Is it just for balancing books, or like what are these people trying to do? You know, it just beats my understanding. And for me, I believe they if they buy Bakola, that means that Gakpo's journey at Liverpool is done.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what I believe. I'll be very shocked if Gakpo stays and then Bakola also stays. I'll be very shocked.
But well, it was Tottenham that was heavily linked with Cody Gakpo. But since they are looking at signing both Mamusha and Savinho, do you think Gakpo will still move?
But do they? But those are not wingers. Those are strikers. That's a striker. Mamush is a striker, not so. Unless they
Yeah.
are planning to put him on the wing.
Well, it is possible because Richardson is still there and Dominic Solanke. So maybe they are looking at playing him on the wing.
Anyway, I don't know. I would be surprised, because that means they would have spent some good amount of money. They will need to at least recoup something back. Try to balance up the books, you know. They will have to try to balance up the books. But the fact that they are not linked to any DM, that is a big shock for me. It's a really big shock, especially for a coach like Ariola. Because for me, one of the things, besides Ariola being someone who develops, players, and he can be able to make a team play really well. He's one guy who's big on actually having an actual DM. So that's why it beats my understanding that he is actually like, what is giving him the confidence to think that he can actually rely on this current Liverpool midfield to actually defend. Because these guys have clearly shown that the only way they know how to defend is by going forward. But when a team is bringing them back, when a team is returning the favor, man, it is trouble. Trouble. The defense is wide open, So, yeah.
Well, moving on from Liverpool, Tottenham. This is one club that needed to have a better season, because after those back-to-back 17th finishes, they really needed to step up and do something. I mean, they have been closer to relegation for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So bringing in the Zerbi, I mean, that was the first step to make things different.
Yeah.
Well, they have signed Matthias Fernandes from West Ham, Sandro Tonali from Newcastle. Savinho has been announced today, and also Mamush is looking to join them also. Remember, they will be getting Kulusevski back after a long injury spell, and also hoping that James Maddison will be back to his fitness. They have sold their captain to Atletico Madrid, but of course he signed 2 centre backs, and that is Van Eke and Senesi from Bournemouth. Not bad inclusions if you can look at their additions. I expect them to have a better season. They have to, because man, the fans are really dying to have better performances. They've been struggling for the last 2 years.
Man, I'm imagining if they had been relegated, man. That would be a very good area to shop from. That would have been a really good place to shop from.
They are not in Europe, of course. So meaning
Yeah.
they are
that is a gift. That is a gift for them. Yeah, it's a gift. If they can utilize it and perform well, then next season they just improve the team by, bringing in, just making the team slightly better. That means just adding depth in squad. I mean, they'll be very well. They'll be, yeah. Actually, in my view, if they don't lose any players as it stands, and just, even keep the signings they have, for me, I believe they're going to be the dark horse this season. I expect them to give teams a run for their money this season.
Sure.
I expect them to play well, because you see, they may probably take maybe first half of the season probably hard to gel, but I expect them to be just like Man U. I expect them to gel at some point and really play well, because that thing of playing after every 3 weeks, after every 1 week, it helps a team. I believe it's going to help them, especially if they gel as the season goes on. It's going to help them a lot, and there will be one team that no one wants to face. Yeah. So for me, I feel like, so I had someone hinting on them as the dark horse. I also agree. I believe they can be the dark horse, especially because they are not playing in Europe, and it would actually be of an advantage if they drop out of one domestic trophy. Now, if they start well, it will be of an advantage if they drop out of FA.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Time is really moving very fast. I mean, let's go to the predictions. We'll be making our season predictions. Who do you expect will be the champion? The MVP, teams to be relegated, young player of the season, top scorer, and also manager of the season.
But this thing we should have said these things after at least one game of first, at least some games in,
That will be cheating.
That's going to be tricky, man. That's going to be really tricky. Okay, let's go one by one.
Okay, we start with the champion.
Champions, that is going to be tricky, but I'll go for. Let me go for the easier one. Though I will change. I believe I will be able to change as like in at least 5 games in. I'll go for Arsenal.
You go for Arsenal.
Though I'm not confident.
I'm going for Liverpool actually.
What? And they are in Europe, man. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
MVP.
MVP. I'm going Haaland.
You're going Haaland. Okay. It's going to have a very big job on his shoulders. MVP, I'm going to go for Bruno Fernandes.
Okay. I'm sure you're going to change by the time the year ends. I'm very confident.
We will see. Top scorer.
Haaland.
I'm also going for Haaland. Let's see. Who do you think will be relegated?
I'm going to go Hull, Coventry, and one Premier League team. Let me see the Premier League team. I'll go either Brentford or Nottingham Forest. I'll go Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham. Well, I'm going to go for all promoted sides.
Okay.
Be relegated back. So we've gone Hull, Coventry, and Nottingham.
And Ipswich.
Ipswich. You've changed.
Yeah. Ipswich was I'm saying you said all 3.
No, I mean you.
Yeah, I said not for Nottingham. I said Forest. Yes.
Okay. Young player of the season. Young player of the season.
Man, do I know this? By the time even a 22 or 23-year-old is considered young, it beats my understanding. Now I don't know. Young player of the season. Which young? That one I don't know. I don't have any play. But I would let me go with let me hit our watch to perform well. So I would go Rio. Rio
That's
Ngamoha.
it's game time.
Rio.
Gamoa.
Mm.
Um, the problem is these guys don't get enough game time. But let me go. Let me go for Zolis.
For who?
Christoph Zolis.
Okay.
Manager of the season.
Manager of the season. Man. With these new managers, I'll go Ariola.
Ariola. Signing of the season.
Man, I'm not sure. Man, let me see. Let me see. I think let me look at the laptop again and try to go through those. Let me see. Can we skip that one?
Okay.
And I come back.
Well, for
I'll
me,
come back.
I'm going to go for Bruno Guimaraes or Tillemans.
No, I would not go for any of them. I would not go for any of them. I'm actually thinking. I'm thinking in regards to because if we are saying that if I'm saying that Tottenham is going to be a dark horse, I'm thinking probably teams like Tottenham, teams like Chelsea. That's where probably the dark horse will come from.
Okay.
That's what I'm. So when I look at Tottenham right now, no. When I look at, let's say, Chelsea, yeah, I'm seeing the Welbecks and of this world, Morgan Rogers. But given his price tag, I mean, it might not go to a player like that. Okay. I think the easier what is Bruno, but let me just stick with my word, Morgan Rogers.
What about the dark horse?
Tottenham.
Spurs,
yeah. Underachievers. If Arsenal doesn't win the trophy, we shall say, of course, Arsenal. But since I've picked them to win the trophy.
But you can't have them as a champion and then underachievers.
Yeah, of course, you can't have the two. You can't have the two. But I feel because I know I'm going to change. It's going to change at least in the few like 5 games into the what. I think the trophy and the underachievers might change. So let me see. Underachievers, I will have to be a team that we actually expect much from. So I will say Arsenal. Okay. But I'm saying that because I know that I'm going to be able to change at some point. I'm going to change the one who is going to win the trophy.
Overachievers.
Overachievers, Tottenham, of course. Unless some small team comes up and shocks us.
I'm going to go for Brentford.
Brentford. Have they lost players or they have improved this time?
They have not lost any player actually.
Okay.
And I like their manager, Keith Andrews. He's a good coach.
It's just disappointing that their striker had a terrible World Cup, but he really would need that confidence. If he can pick up from where he left off last season, it will really be good, massive for them.
I think he was just rushed to play at that level.
But he's not young. He's not young, so it was
He's
a
not
good. I
young,
mean,
but still,
I don't think he's going to play the
I
next
love
World Cup.
Steve Ancelotti,
Eh? I think actually,
Okay.
actually, you remember that opportunity he got where he totally missed the ball, the header. Now, for a
Yeah.
striker, when you score a goal, especially the fact that he was new, such a thing would be a boost for him. Now, the problem is that he missed. The same thing I think is with Hendrik. Hendrik, when he had just come on and then he missed against Norway, keeper to beat. I think also such a thing also affects the striker. So it makes the striker really not to perform well. So, yeah, I mean, luck just wasn't on their side.
Okay. Let's move on to the weekend predictions.
Mm.
Arsenal will be kicking off their season against Coventry at the Emirates. I'm going to go for a
2-1.
2-0 win.
2-1, yeah, 2-0, 2-1 from Arsenal.
Hull City early kickoff on Saturday. They'll be hosting Manchester United.
2-1 Arsenal. I mean Man U.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 3-1 United. Everton versus Crystal Palace.
2-2.
Why do I feel this will end in a boring 0-0?
Everyone is trying to size the other.
Ipswich versus Sunderland.
1-0 Sunderland.
Okay. I'm going to go for a 1-1. Nottingham versus Leeds.
Leeds 2-0. Who is hosting?
Nottingham.
2-1. 2-1 Leeds.
2-1. Going for a 1-0 Nottingham win. Brentford versus Tottenham. This is tasty. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
Who is hosting?
Brentford.
Yeah, Tottenham has had a tendency of playing well away from home, so I don't know if they'll continue with that. What I would say, yeah, 1-1.
1-1. Brighton. They host Aston Villa.
Has Aston Villa really replaced their players? I would say it's going to be a 2-0 Aston Villa.
Yeah, Aston Villa. Away from home,
2-0. Brighton are slow starters.
I'm going to go for a 2-1. Manchester City at home against a tricky Bournemouth.
2-1. 2-1 City.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 City. Haaland has a tendency of starting the season very strong. Well, your beloved Liverpool will be hosting Newcastle.
Man. I'll go for 2-1 Liverpool.
I'm going for a 3-0 Liverpool.
Have they lost that many players?
Newcastle, man, they're shambles. Trust me, they lost their head coach Eddie Howe. He left.
Have they replaced? Did they bring in players to replace Tonali and Guimaraes?
Man, they have been looking at Pierre Hojbjerg from Marseille, and he rejected them.
Like seriously, why would they be thinking in that direction?
So it's not looking good for Newcastle.
That is a downgrade.
Fulham at home at the Cottage. They'll be hosting Chelsea. London Derby.
3-1 Chelsea.
3-1 Chelsea. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. Well, I think that is it. I have to let this man go for a meeting. We'll be coming back next week, of course, to review all our predictions we made. I appreciate everyone that has been tuned in to the show. Thank you for the support. It means a lot. And if you haven't really subscribed yet, please do click on the subscription button and also like the video. It means so much for us. Unless Oscar, you have anything else to say, I have to let you go.
Don't have anything much. I'm just trying to scroll through and see the signings that Newcastle has made. And from what I can see, they actually don't have any. They only have one central midfielder from Ajax that they have signed, which is really interesting that they would really go in that direction. But I mean, we have seen stranger things. The Brentford, lost their almost the entire midfield. They were still strong. So let's wait and see what Newcastle has to offer, what they have to present this season.
Yeah. Well, football lovers, football is finally back, and Arsenal will be kicking off the season tonight, 10 p.m. at the Emirates against Coventry City. Let's wait and see if we can have a shock Coventry result, or it will be business as usual for Arsenal. Well, people, don't forget, you can always chip in with your suggestions, questions, and also your predictions. You can comment below. We'll be reading them on the next show. Otherwise, I should wish you a good evening, a good night, a good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. Thank you for watching the show. And from me and Oscar, we say bye-bye and God bless you.
Peace.